together well.
Kaylynn's really sweet. Isaac's, yeah, he's really awesome. I feel like they really balance each other out, so it's awesome.
All right, match. What is the craziest thing?
To understand why this clip hit differently than any other Plathville moment this season, you have to go back. Way back. Because this family doesn't just have history, it has weight. Welcome to Plathville has been on TLC since 2019, following Kim and Barry Plath and their 9 children living a deeply conservative life in rural Georgia. And from the very first episode, it was clear this wasn't just a reality show. It was a slow-motion portrait of what happens when a family built on strict religious principles starts to crack, one kid at a time. The show follows the children fighting to break free from the restrictive lifestyles they were raised under. Every season, somebody new crosses a line the family said would never be crossed. Every season, somebody surprises you. This season, that somebody is Lydia. Lydia Plath and Zach Wise got married on February 22, 2025, at the Plath family farm in Georgia, just 2 months after they got engaged, and 3 months after they made their relationship public. By welcome to Plathville standards, that is warp speed. The kind of speed that makes families nervous. The kind of speed that made some of her brothers very, very uncomfortable. And then there's Isaac. Younger. Still figuring it out. Isaac Plath, 19 at the time, revealed he had a girlfriend named Kaylynn when Season 7 premiered. In the trailer, he said plainly, "This is Kaylynn, she's my girlfriend. I got it pretty good. I think she's a keeper." He called her Pookie on a tractor. He meant every word of it. But here's what makes this couple's game clip sting just a little. Because we already know what's coming for Isaac and Kaylynn. We already know how this story ends. And watching them laugh in that room, playing that silly game, knowing what we know now, it's almost too much to watch. In the exclusive clip from this week's episode, the 2 couples decide to play a relationship game, and one of the questions asks who would be the horse in the relationship and who would be the cowboy, a ridiculous question. A fun question. The kind of question that, in the hands of the right people, tells you everything about the power dynamic at the center of a relationship. And these 4 people answered it. We don't know exactly what each couple said in the full episode, but what we do know is the energy in that room. Zach and Lydia, the married couple, the ones who've already said their vows and confronted her family and staked their claim on a life together. And Isaac and Kaylynn, the newer couple, still in that shimmering early phase where everything feels permanent because nothing has been tested yet. Lydia, for her part, has been letting audiences in on the private side of her marriage. In a TLC clip, she asked Zach on camera, "Be honest. What is life like living with me as your wife?" He answered, "Amazing, of course. But after 10 p.m. you are on a different level." When a producer asked if the honeymoon phase was over, Zach said simply, "Nope." Lydia told cameras that Zach sees a side of her that no one knows and no one will ever know about. That's not a reality TV soundbite. That's a woman who has found her person. And for one episode, one silly, playful, laughter-filled moment, Isaac and Kaylynn look like they might be in that same place. Here's what makes this scene so layered once you zoom out. The Welcome to Plathville Season 8 trailer hints at significant tension between Lydia and her family, with Barry telling the camera, "There's healing that's needed between Lydia and Kim." Lydia herself told Kim in one emotional exchange, "Whenever I would talk to you, it just felt like I was talking to a brick wall." This is a young woman who spent years being shaped by a family structure, then found love fast, got married fast, and is now navigating the aftermath of doing things her way in a family that has very strong opinions about the right way to do everything. The couple's game clip isn't just cute content. It's a small exhale. A moment where Lydia gets to be newlywed and normal and young, without anyone questioning her choices or whispering about her husband. Amid her marriage to Zach, Lydia's relationship with some family members became strained due to negative comments made about her husband, the laughing in that room, that game, those questions, that cow and horse absurdity. It matters more than it looks like it does. Because it's one of the few places this season where Lydia gets to just breathe. Isaac, though. Isaac is standing at a completely different crossroads. This is the part that's hard to talk about without feeling something. Season 8 episode descriptions reveal that Isaac blindsides Kaylynn during a Halloween outing, that he becomes devastated over his decision to leave Kaylynn, and that he later looks for a reconciliation with her. Read that again. The same young man who called her Pookie on a tractor. The same guy who said, "I think she's a keeper," with absolute certainty in his voice. That guy blindsides her. That guy leaves. And then he regrets it. In a TLC clip titled "The Plaths Unpack Their Romantic History," Isaac is shown regretting his breakup with Kaylynn. So when you watch the couple's game clip, when you watch these four young people laughing over who's the horse and who's the cowboy, you're watching something that has an ending already written. You just don't know it yet. Isaac and Kaylynn don't know it yet. And that's the kind of dramatic irony that reality TV almost never delivers this cleanly. The show didn't manufacture this tension. Life did. Audiences felt it immediately. The clip went viral almost as soon as it was posted. Fans buzzed over TLC's social media posts about Lydia and Zach's marriage, reacting with surprise and delight to how openly affectionate they are on camera. The couple's game took that energy and doubled it, because here was proof that Lydia's relationship wasn't just stable, it was fun. It was easy. It was the rare Plathville love story that didn't feel like it was being held together with tension and prayer. Meanwhile, the Isaac and Kaylynn corner of the fandom was already beginning to whisper. There's a specific kind of Plathville viewer who has been watching since 2019 and has learned, through years of this family story, not to get too attached to the happy moments. Because the show is built on the tension between what these kids were raised to believe and what they actually discover they want. And sometimes, what they want changes. Sometimes, people realize too late what they had. That's Isaac's arc this season. And it started in a room with a couple's game and a question about cowboys. Here's the deeper truth underneath this clip. Welcome to Plathville has always been about two things running in parallel: freedom and consequence. Every single child in that family has had to answer the same fundamental question: who do I want to be outside the structure I was raised inside? And the answers have never been simple. Lydia's answer right now looks like Zach. Looks like a kitchen at night and a husband who sees a side of her no one else does. Looks like a couple's game with her brother and his girlfriend, laughing, being young. Being free in a way that doesn't come with an asterisk. Lydia had written of Zach when she announced their relationship, "You never cease to amaze me with the adventures we go on, supporting me in every high and low, and overflowing every moment with joy as we pursue the Lord together." Whatever you think of how fast they moved, that isn't performance. That's belief. Isaac's answer? Still being written. Still being lived out in real time on our screens. The Season 8 episode description suggests Isaac is still working through what went wrong with Kaylynn and actively seeking reconciliation. Which means the story isn't over. Which means somewhere off camera in the real world, Isaac Plath is sitting with the weight of a choice he made and asking himself if it was the right one. Welcome to Plathville Season 8 premiered on March 31st, 2026 on TLC, airing Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The couple's game clip is early season content, which means we are still in the build-up phase, still in the part of the season where the laughter is real and the fractures are just starting to show at the edges. What comes next is messier. It always is with this family. The Season 8 trailer reveals that Lydia reaches a breaking point during a family gathering, putting her foot down over ongoing drama and whispers about her marriage to Zach, making it clear she refuses to let the negativity continue. So, even in the strongest relationship on this show right now, there's a fight waiting. There's a confrontation waiting. There's a moment where Lydia has to choose, again, between her family's comfort and her own. She's already made that choice once. The question is whether the weight of making it over and over again changes something. Whether it changes her. Whether it changes Zach. Whether it changes the marriage. And Isaac? We'll see. The show has a history of surprising us. Not always in the ways we hope for, but always in ways that feel true. Point for people. One game. A question about horses and cowboys. It sounds like the setup to a joke. But the thing about Welcome to Plathville, the thing that's kept millions of Americans watching for 7 years, is that nothing in that family is ever just a game. There is always something underneath. Always a history. Always a future bearing down. Lydia laughed in that room, and she deserved to. She fought for her marriage in ways her family didn't always make easy, and she won. For now, she gets to be the girl who knows something about herself that only Zach gets to see. That's not nothing. In a family where everything has always been everyone's business, that's everything. Isaac laughed too. And that laugh will live on tape long after he understands what it cost him to leave. That's the thing about filmed lives. The camera keeps the moments your memory wants to blur. And somewhere in the archive of this show, there's a clip of a young man telling the world he'd found a keeper, and then letting her go anyway. Maybe he gets her back. Maybe he doesn't. But the game was played. The answers were given. And the tape is running that there's a specific kind of pain that doesn't make a sound. It doesn't explode. It doesn't slam doors. It doesn't scream into the phone at 2 a.m. It just sits there, quiet and heavy, behind someone's eyes while the cameras keep rolling and the world keeps watching. That's Isaac Plath in episode 4 of Welcome to Plathville Season 8. A 20-year-old young man who made a choice he thought would set him free. And instead, it's eating him alive. But here's what makes this episode so much bigger than one breakup, one boy, one bad decision made under the weight of fear. Because while Isaac is unraveling in one corner of this family's world, his father, Barry Plath, is doing something nobody saw coming. Something that required courage of an entirely different kind. Something that, depending on how you were raised, either breaks your heart or makes you quietly cheer. And then there's Ethan. Always Ethan. Quietly hatching a plan so unexpected, so borderline reckless, that the people who love him aren't sure whether to admire him or stop him. One family, 4 storylines, and one episode that proves, once again, that Welcome to Plathville is not just a reality show. It's a document of what happens when real people try, and sometimes fail, to become who they actually want to be. If you're just now finding this show, understand what you're stepping into. Welcome to Plathville has been running on TLC since 2019, built around Kim and Barry Plath and their 9 children living a deeply conservative life in rural Georgia, a family that became television gold not because of manufactured drama, but because their story turned out to be genuinely, devastatingly real. BY Season 8, the landscape has shifted almost beyond recognition from where it started. Kim and Barry, the anchor couple, the foundation the whole show was built on, have been separated since 2022. Kim filed for divorce in June 2024. And now, their children are scattered across the map, each one trying to build something. That's the surface explanation. But dig just a little deeper, and the real reason is far more interesting, and far more human. Isaac says plainly, just certain thoughts built up to where I felt like I was under too much pressure and I wanted to just be free. Freedom. That word. In a family that built its entire identity around structure, around God, around boundaries and rules and right ways of doing things, and then watched that structure collapse in real time on national television, the word freedom means something very specific. It means escape from the pattern. It means not becoming your parents. Isaac points directly to the Plath family's history as part of what drove his decision, referring to everything his family's been through, a comment that sources suggest refers to his parents' split in 2022 and some of his siblings' failed partnerships. He watched his parents' 24-year marriage dissolve. He watched Ethan's marriage to Olivia crumble across multiple seasons of television. He watched Micah's relationship with Veronica collapse so explosively that Veronica reportedly called him a parasite on Reddit. He grew up inside the idea that love was permanent, and then watched everyone around him prove it wasn't. So when he looked at Kaylynn and felt the pull towards something serious, something real, he flinched. Not because he didn't care, but because caring felt like the first step toward getting hurt. Isaac admits on camera, the really hard thing was seeing her happy and her not knowing anything's going to happen. Knowing what I was about to do to her just still haunts me to this day, honestly. Read that again slowly. He watched her be happy, knowing he was about to take it away. And he let it happen anyway. And now he's sitting with that image, her face, her not knowing, and calling it haunting. When producers ask if Kaylynn said something specific that made him want to end things, Isaac is clear. No. I mean, I wouldn't be the type to break up with someone because they say something. It wasn't like an instant decision. It was just something that I was thinking about. This wasn't reactionary. It wasn't heat of the moment. He built toward this slowly, quietly, alone, and then detonated it on Halloween of all nights. Isaac also called Kaylynn's parents to apologize after the breakup. Prime timer. That detail. Let it sit. A 20-year-old boy, who just ended a relationship because he was scared of the future, called her parents. Because somewhere in his upbringing, in all the fracture and faith and loss, there's a young man who still believes in doing the right thing, even after doing the wrong one. For her part, Kaylynn agrees with Isaac that he seemed unsure about being completely settled down, but pushes back on the idea that marriage is what she actually wants right now, and there it is. The tragic irony at the center of this whole story. He ended the relationship because he was afraid she wanted to rush to marriage. She didn't actually want that. Not yet. He solved a problem that didn't exist, and lost something real in the process. Episode 4 shows Isaac devastated over his decision to leave Kaylynn. Not relieved. Not free. Devastated now. Let's talk about the man who has quietly become the most watchable person on this entire show. Barry Plath. For 7 seasons, Barry existed largely as a supporting character in his own family's story. The stoic patriarch. The man who built the farm, raised the children, and then watched his wife walk away from everything they built together. He didn't rage about it on camera. He didn't perform his grief. He just processed it. Slowly. Faithfully. In the way people do when they genuinely believe God has a plan, even when it looks like a catastrophe. Episode 4 sees Barry turning to a matchmaker as he embarks on his dating journey for the first time in decades. Think about what that actually means. Barry Plath was with Kim for 24 years. 24 years. He has 9 children. He has never, not once since becoming an adult, gone on a first date with someone who didn't already know his name. He has never had to introduce himself to a stranger and say, "Here is who I am, here is what I've been through, here is what I'm looking for now." He met with a matchmaker named Renee over a video call. And what happened next was both hilarious and quietly moving. Barry revealed his celebrity crush and his type, telling Renee he is drawn to someone like Sandra Bullock with olive-toned skin. America immediately had thoughts about this. Because of course it did. Barry Plath, the man who raised 9 children in a peanut farm in rural Georgia, has a crush on Sandra Bullock. There's something so fundamentally human about that moment. Something that strips away all the reality TV narrative and just leaves a middle-aged man, recently divorced, sitting in front of a screen, trying to articulate what kind of person might make him feel alive again. Renee, closing out their meeting, said, "It was funny when I was writing down all of your children's ages. I'm like, I don't think this line has ever been this long." So that's a beautiful thing, though. It really is. You have an army of somebody's going to have to win all of their hearts. That line. An army. 9 kids, ranging from early 20s down to teenagers, who have watched their family implode. Any woman who enters Barry Plath's life doesn't just get Barry. She gets all of them. She gets the history, the faith, the farm, the cameras, the complex and fractured legacy of a family that has been doing its healing in public for 7 years. The episode also features an awkward exchange between Barry and Kent, Kim's on-again boyfriend. Because in the Plath family, nothing is ever neatly compartmentalized. The people you used to be connected to don't disappear. They just reorganize around you in new, uncomfortable configurations. Barry is stepping forward. And the show has never been more quietly rooting for a person than it is right now for him. If Isaac represents the fear of commitment, and Barry represents the courage to try again, Ethan Plath represents something else entirely. He represents the person who knows, with total certainty,